What's up, everybody? This is the Good Kraken podcast / Let's Get Bitchin podcast. I am one of your hosts, Ernell Pearson, alongside the inevitable one, Devin Stanford.
Hey, welcome back, everybody.
And the queen of bitchin' themselves, Jenesy Gabrielle. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Oh, you know, it's popping. It's popping out here. I'm still drinking Trulies. This is like my fourth one for the day. It's lit. It's wild, guys. It's wild. And I'm especially lit up because today we are talking all about our love and passion for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because we have been waiting for this conversation for a long fucking time, and it is about time that we go into it. So the way that we're going to do this is kind of just like last time with WandaVision, except we're going to be better about it this time. The first half of our conversation here, we're going to go into spoiler-free, just initial thoughts of the show itself, how we felt about, you know, the overall entertainment piece that we got from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And then when we are ready to dive into overall spoilers, we will give our overall probably ranking of the show out of 10. Because that's how we do it now. And then afterwards, we will move into spoilers. So everyone that is watching at home can know that if they do not want to know the details yet, they need to get the fuck out. So, guys, let us begin. Jenesy, initial thoughts, go.
Wow. My overall feeling, not just about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but like the so far Disney Plus original series that we have, my reaction is I was wrong. I've said some things about Marvel. I've called them many names, including pussies. And I have to take it back. They showed up. They stepped up. It was amazing.
Yep.
It was amazing.
Yep. Devin.
Yeah, just the amount of depth that they're adding and all the stories that they're starting to tell. I mean, these easily could have just been movies, you know, but they stretched it out without it even feeling like filler. It is just one beat after another, and we got to see so much more about these characters that really didn't get that much of a spotlight within any of the movies, except for, you know, Winter Soldier, really, because I mean, he had a whole Captain America movie about him. But I'm here for it. I want to see more of this this kind of series steps that they've been taking, and yeah, it's just really, really good.
Oh, dude, big time agree, guys. Just to sort of like echo what you guys were saying, it's that like the amount of just depth and weight that this show holds. Like, I thought WandaVision was going to be it. I really thought WandaVision was going to be a special one-off like sort of thing that was gonna just, you know, gut punch us a little bit, and then we probably weren't gonna get anything that heavy for a while. No, they went straight into the shits, giving us more content, more plot, more stories that I don't think any of us were prepared for them to fucking touch on.
No,
you know,
No.
yeah, I like me and Devin had talked about it before, but it's like, you know, we never thought they were ever going to like dive into the topic of, you know, is America ready for a Black Captain America? You know, and and like having that just be sort of like the main key focus of the show overall, incredible. Damn stuff. The next thing I want to ask you guys though is off the bat, would you guys be able to name off like your favorite episode?
Ooh, I actually do have one. I have one already.
Okay,
episode
all right,
3.
hit us.
Episode 3. You know, when they just episode 3, mainly just for the cinematography, the callbacks to you know, character situations in other movies, and just, I mean, it was also written by the writer of John Wick, so yeah, episode 3, hands down, probably my favorite one.
Okay, Jenesy?
Episode 5.
5.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
The domestic bliss and just comfort that episode radiated was everything I needed ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you guys have a favorite character?
Wait, what was your favorite episode?
Yeah.
Oh shit. I was gonna try to slide out of that. I'm gonna say 6. I'm gonna say the finale was my favorite, but it's hard because I feel like 6 only hit as well as it did because of all the build up and work that they did prior to episode 6.
Yes.
So it sort of has the same effect with like Endgame, where Endgame, like standing alone, does not really hold up because it's accumulation of 17 movies prior to it, 16 I think actually, prior to it, that have done the work, that have set it up to make the impact that it had. But as you know, as we're going to talk about later, there's some stuff that happens in this season finale that is,
Oh, yeah.
my fucking emotions were just running rampant that this entire episode. I couldn't handle it for most of the damn time watching.
Mhm. Not only that, but just like, all the conspiracy theories you can get out of it too. And, it's I will say that my second runner-up episode would be the finale as well.
Yeah, me too.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I kind of assumed that was going to be the general consensus between all three of us, is that like this season finale was just so good, just generally, that it's just like, oh my god. Now for the next sort of like topical question here is, again, spoiler free, did you guys have any grievances that are not specific that you think the show could have done better?
I can't think of like a very particular grievance. I feel like they could have done a little bit more with the flag smashers, just a little bit, because a lot of it was just really like, it felt like the same story out of Solo. It seems like they just took the whole, resistance plot line out of that.
For sure.
But other than that, it was still not bad,
Okay.
So.
Okay. Jenesy?
I think that's a really good critique. I do think that this was really interesting because we had a whole series, and I feel like the conflict and the kind of villain, if we want to say it, of the flag smashers, was very like typical for a Marvel movie. But because it was in a series format, it felt lacking. Like it needed to be a bit more complex than it was. My grievance, I guess, would be, and I don't know if this is a spoiler, so I really apologize if it is. I feel like it's not. We know that Bucky's been queer coded from like day one. Right. That's been a thing. And they leaned the fuck into that in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And to the point where it almost wasn't queer coding. It was almost canon queer, but it wasn't. And that's my grievance.
Right, like, for sure.
That's the one thing that Marvel is still a pussy about. And I'm mad. Representing gay moves in the show. Yeah. For sure. Because there's you and I believe talked about this during our WandaVision review, is that like there's a lot of things that happen in Falcon and the Winter Soldier that are very like, they've got some vibes here that I don't think like Disney was willing to just fucking commit to, It wasn't subtle. I was like, their legs are in between each other's crotches. Like, this isn't straight. Straight people don't do this. I mean, I don't know.
No. You did.
Straight.
I mean, arguably.
I feel like they don't do this.
Disney, I'm sure, like they're making steps. They will eventually start talking about this stuff a little bit. I would hope, at least.
Yeah. I don't know. So here's where I stand about it. Like, being like, my podcast is like from a queer lens. Like, obviously this is where I come at things from. But like, there's a lot of conversations about like tokenizing queer characters, right? And there's a lot of like conversations about like, oh, well, we got a queer character, we got queer coding, but it was very tokenized. That isn't even like a huge problem I have, to be honest with you. I mean, like, that's a criticism for sure. But I'm not going to get mad if there's a token queer character in a movie, because it's like, wow, Disney made a fucking queer character. It's token. It's there. I get really mad when they pretend that gay people don't exist. Like, what is fantasy world that Marvel's living in where there aren't any gay people? Like, not even gay superheroes, but like, I walk down the street and like, you have gay owned coffee shops. And I mean, I live in Portland, so like a little bit skewed. Half of their movies take place in New York. New York is queer as shit. Where's your gay butcher?
Yeah. The only instance I can think of them like openly talking about that is when
Say
they
it.
had one of the
Say it.
Russo brothers in Endgame when they were having
Yes, yes.
the meeting, you know,
Mhm.
because he was openly talking about a date that he went on, you know, and but that's the
Yeah.
only instance I can think of.
Yes.
That they're like direct about it, because
Mhm.
as Genesy's pointing out, is that there's a lot of stuff that's very subtle, like the chemistry between Valkyrie and basically any other woman character that
Any
she comes
woman.
across, any woman that she comes
Yeah.
specific, or so specifically the like ship that all of us have for Valkyrie and
Mhm.
Captain Marvel, because that needs to happen. I
Yeah,
need
I'm
them
That
to
would be
date
the
each
really
other.
ultimate.
I'm really
Right,
I would
right.
hoping
die.
for some sort of like crossover with the next Thor Love and Thunder movie, because you know Guardians of the Galaxy and
Mhm.
Captain Marvel and the Thor worlds have all collided now, so maybe
Yeah.
there might be something there. Also, we do have Miss Marvel coming, which is one of the first openly gay heroes that they've really latched onto. So hopefully they explore all that depth with the show that
Yes.
they have coming out as
Well,
well.
and on top of that too, Miss
Mhm.
Marvel is supposed to be Indian American. So it's like
Mhm.
having an Indian American gay character directly in it. Now the only hope is that they actually make her gay. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right.
Like actually have that representation. I'm excited too because Devin can attest for this. I was mentioning the other night when we were talking about representation in video games specifically. We got
Mhm.
into the talk about like how Indian American culture is sort of like not touched on in a majority of history in media. And so it'll be nice to have that too, and kind of letting them dive into those pools for all of us to finally get that, you know, back
Mhm.
recognition that definitely needs to happen.
Especially like how rich that culture is too. Like I have a grandmother that lives on reservation and stuff like that, so it'd be really nice to see them explore that whole take. um it just needs to happen. It's the last time I can really think about how that culture was explored was the Revenant, you know.
Mm.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it
absolutely.
in
Yeah.
recent memory at least. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention, like, the Marvel likes to do this thing where they do tangentially political topics in their
Mhm.
movies, right? We saw that in like every Captain America movie.
Mhm.
And they've been progressively getting more and more, I guess, political. And I think we saw that in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like,
Mhm.
even from the trailers, we knew that something was going to happen. We didn't really know what until we got there. Um, and I think that not talking about characters like that is disrespectful, because you have, like, you're talking about, you have Captain America, and they talk a lot about like what it means to be America, and they make nods about colonialism and neocolonialism and the negative impacts of that, but they are
Mhm.
ignoring a huge part of that conversation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
unfortunately. I mean, like, you know, we have to pick and choose what we can for the meantime, but it's just like cool. We have, you know, now a entire series, entire like season of content, you know, like six hours that oh no, oh Raven's in the chat trying to post emojis and she can't because I keep fucking up the moderation stuff. Anyways, we have an entire season of content that they're finally giving us to talk about some stuff that has been needing to be talked about for really time within the Marvel universe. And they kind of really just only brazenly touched on it through, I don't know, maybe Black Panther, you know, and even then
Mhm.
it was only very much because of that
Mhm.
world that they were trying to put us in that movie. And so now for them to basically just say, fuck it, we're going in on this,
Mhm.
we're going to commit 100% all the way. And then, you know, sometimes they didn't commit entirely, but then they would make up for it later on with, you know, some of those moments that happen with between Falcon and some of the other characters. And so I trust them to eventually get to a point where they feel like they can talk about this shit all the time. Like I
I feel like
trust.
it's
Go ahead. Go ahead.
sorry to interrupt. I feel like it's getting there because it's progressively getting better. I mean, we had the whole theme in WandaVision. At least what I got out of it, it was very mental health focused. extremely, and I related with that a lot. And the whole theme, for Falcon Winter Soldiers, being a black man fighting for the US government, even with everything that's happened. So I feel like we're starting to see this finally get fleshed out. And especially with all the other new shows that we have coming too. And not to mention the title change right at the end. It was great.
Oh yeah.
That's a spoiler.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Isn't that
I mean, is it a spoiler? Is it a spoiler?
I mean,
Yeah, no, that slaps.
You know what I
That
mean?
slaps.
You know what I mean? You know what I
So-
mean? Jenesy, if you could give this season a rating of 1 to 10, what would you give it?
Okay, I'm gonna deviate a little bit. On my show, I developed a fucks to give scale.
Oh,
Because I can't do 1 to 10 scales; they break my brain. So it's 0, 1, or 2 fucks.
okay.
0 fucks is I hate it. I'm worse off for watching it, and honestly, I feel kind of dead inside. Because one fuck is it isn't hate, it isn't love, it's just indifference.
Okay.
Take it or leave it.
Okay.
2 fucks is like, this is amazing. If there's another season, I'm gonna come back for it. This is like a part of my lifestyle now. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was a solid 2 fucks for me.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
All right.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Devin, we do a 10-point scale
It's
here at Good Kraken.
We're
What-
basic bitches out here.
We're basic hoes for now. We can call them like tentacles or something. We got 10 tentacles. What do you?
That.
I know, right? We got to keep it on brand. Devin, what would you get it?
I give it a good 8 out of 10, and that's just solely because I wanted just more.
Yeah,
I just wanted more. It was really, really good. Like I said, the only thing that was slightly holding it back for me was literally just the villain, and that's it. Even though, I mean, I can't say that yet. But,
Yep.
But
We're getting better at this. It's okay.
Yeah, it's really just the way that they flesh out the whole antagonist, and that's pretty much it. The story, the connection between the characters, the interactions between all the characters, the introductions, all very good. So
Agreed. I would give it a 9 out of 10, honestly. I think really the only reason I can't give it a 10 is, as Devin said, a big problem that I have with the show, generally speaking, is just like the way they try to work out the Flag Smasher situation. Okay, is they try to make us feel sympathetic for them, and it comes off as very very surface level to me, because I have a hard time being sympathetic with them when they are also simultaneously killing people, and they try to sort of like do this like back and forth thing where like, hey, like you should want to follow this movement and you should want to understand this movement, and it's like, I do, but I don't understand the characters that are involved with this movement, because they're sort of doing this very backhanded way of trying to make this movement happen. And it's like, a part of me is like, I'm down for that radicalization, because I am all about radicalizing your fucking movement when you feel like it needs to be heard. Totally fine. But in this specific scenario, and I'm sure you guys get where I'm going with it, this specific scenario with the specific group of people, like they try so hard to make it feel like we're supposed to give a shit, and it like takes away every opportunity we have to give a shit by giving us reasons to not give a shit. You know what I mean? And that's the only reason I couldn't give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah. To add on that, like the Flag Smashers, they felt like just a generic villain from Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. If that makes any sense,
Yeah, okay, fair. Yeah.
I do like the show. It's way better in the beginning and like the first couple seasons. I feel it kind of lost me towards the end of its run, and solely that's just because everything felt very generic running, and that's kind of what the villains in Falcon and Winter Soldier, or I should say them particularly, made it feel like a TV show a little bit, versus where every other piece of content made it feel like I was watching an MCU movie.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
So-
totally agree. I also think that something that the Falcon and the Winter Soldier struggled with is they couldn't really pin down who they wanted their villain to be.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And if anything, besides the Flag Smashers, I think that just comes to like building a foundation for what's to come, if that makes any sense. And I'm sure we're going to get into that here on the
Yes.
second half.
Yes, we will. And with that said, I think we can probably just sort of migrate over to that now. Jenesy, would you recommend this show to our viewers at home?
I would. I absolutely would. I personally think that the best way to experience the show is watching Spider-Man Far From Home and watching WandaVision prior. Only because I think emotionally there are things that are set up in those movies that really make the impact of Falcon and the Winter Soldier even more poignant.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be my
Agreed.
recommendation.
Absolutely.
Devin?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd recommend it 100%. Definitely don't just watch it as a standalone thing. Make sure you're caught up, just like Jenesy was saying, because there's a lot that's happened in, the previous events of Marvel that really lead into this, as well as what it sets up for after. So watch it.
Yeah. Agreed. Definitely agreed.
Mhm.
There's a lot of stuff that happens prior to this that you will not understand unless you go experience those things for yourself. If you have not experienced those things for yourself yet, you either suck or you need to get to it, because it's been a while and you've had plenty of fucking time. You can do it now, okay? Turn off the show because you don't want spoilers. Turn this off. Go watch all of the Avengers movies,
Everything.
and then come back here to twitch.tv/Good Kraken Show and click the YouTube link down there and the podcast link down there. Find Let's Get Bitchin' on podcast services. Just you'll find this on there, and then you can come back and you can have this conversation with us, because now we're going to go into the spoilers. And if you do not want spoilers, get out. Get out of here. Devin, say it. Tell him.
Get out.
Get out of here. Get out of here. So I want to start this off. Guys. Y'all. All right. The first thing that I want to talk about here to kick this shit off, all right? The when Sam is giving the talk to the senator and the GDC people, and the look on Isaiah Bradley's face as Sam is talking to them was the moment for me at the end of all of this that I was like, fuck, they did it. They did it. They fucking did it. My first thing was the opening episode, or the episode where they opened with Bucky in Wakanda, finally finding out that all of his shit from being the Winter Soldier was gone. That was the first one that I was like, oh shit, they might have done something. But this moment where you could see the dude who the actor for Isaiah Bradley just acted the fuck out of this part. Okay, yes, Devin, you're gonna look it up. I already know you are, baby. I already know you are. This guy was just emoting so perfectly in the entirety of this show. Okay? And that look that he gave when Sam's talking on the TV and he's like, fuck, he might be onto something, was incredible. And the reason I want to start off with that is because the one that I actually want to start with is the episode of Sam and Isaiah talking, having their conversation for the first real time, them talking some real shit in Isaiah's house. That's where I want to start off with. What did you guys feel about that scene?
It was powerful. Isaiah showed so much hate in earlier for very good reason, with everything that he's had to deal with, his history being erased, him being the first Captain America, even without the government really supporting him, the experimentations, and seeing that look of he agreed with Sam. You know what I mean? He saw that the way that Sam was bringing, their struggles to the spotlight, and really, that's all Isaiah wanted. He wanted to not be forgotten because he was, and from his whole family, his friends, everything. He watched everybody die, and he thought that the U.S. was never ever going to recognize him for everything he did, and went through. And that whole ending with him was just powerful, and just seeing the emotion that came out of him, and the it you could like almost physically see like weight lifted off his shoulders in the show, because it looked like he was carrying such a huge burden throughout the whole series until that final point.
Yeah, Jenesy, you look like you're gonna hop in there for a second.
I have so much. So for a long time, it's funny, Captain America, Chris Evans' Captain America was my favorite Marvel superhero. And it was really interesting going into this series because like years ago, I remember it might have been like a Facebook post or a conversation, and my bitch ass was like, no one could ever replace Chris Evans as Captain America. And I'm eating my goddamn words, because this to me, that conversation with Isaiah Bradley, and not just that, but the entire Falcon and the Winter Soldier series was the culmination of not just the Falcon's character, but Captain America and what Steve stood for, and that continuing on after him. So for me, that conversation with Isaiah was incredible, because from the very beginning, from episode 1, you see Sam struggling, because not only is he like grieving the loss of a world like everyone else is, right, which he talks about in his beautiful speech at the end, he's grieving the loss of his dear friend who is a literal hero to the world. And then his friend asked him to take on that mantle, and he can't, right? And so you see him start to like have these conversations with himself, and I think that's really interesting, because you can see, without them even talking about it, that Sam is questioning what to do with the shield, and then he makes the decision, and he was like, well, that was the wrong call. and he's sitting there like questioning, like, what is my part in this? What am I can't just be the Falcon anymore. I have to be something more. But he doesn't know what that is. And when he's having this conversation with Isaiah, it's really interesting, because Isaiah's telling him not to fucking do it, right? He's like, they'll never allow a Black Captain America. It won't ever be important, right? It'll just be defamed, right?
Yeah.
Which is totally valid. And from Isaiah's perspective, and I think the perspective of a lot of Black Americans, that's true, and Sam it comes to a point where he's like, he is able to recognize that is, I think there was like a moment where like I was watching it and I was like, is he going to listen to Isaiah? Like it seemed like he might take that as kind of gospel and be like, yeah, maybe he'll do something else. Right. Like we knew there was going to be a progression, but I had a moment of doubt where I was like, fuck, maybe he won't be Captain America. And that was definitely during that conversation. And so I thought that was beautiful. It was very sad and very heavy, because you had two very similar and very at the same time opposite experiences in relation to the question of, can we have a Black Captain America, and what will that mean for our country and for Black people in our country, because Isaiah saw it as the threat.
Yeah Devin, your thoughts on that part?
I mean, Isaiah saw it as a threat. He was totally, backstabbed by the own military that he just wanted to be a part of, and he wanted to defend his own country, and he was backstabbed in the end, even though he showed true patriotism and and even went and saved his own squad. Just like we saw in the very first Avenger movie. He did it literally, it's just mirrored. They did the same things, but instead Steve Rogers was glorified and he was vilified. And
imprisoned and
tortured, and yeah.
It was so sad. And I think in episode 5 there, Truth, you kind of see Sam kind of grieving on that and feeling that, like you were saying, but you also see him come to terms with the fact that he can be that change too. So that's where I'm at on that.
Yeah. No, it's. I wanted to start off with that scene because I felt like that part for me was the most powerful part of the show, alongside with Isaiah seeing his statue for the first time, which I won't dive too deep into in case you guys want to talk about it, but just those scenes, every scene that had to do with Isaiah was so powerful because he was the only one in the show that was trying to get them to like realize like, yo, there's something seriously fucking wrong. And if you guys want to be a part of that, tight, I don't. Like this is what happened to me, and I hope you'll fucking listen to that. And so having Sam finally be willing to like have that hard conversation with him and be able to say like, look, like I want to hear what happened to you, and Isaiah just say, yeah, it's everything that you thought happened and more, and that's why I don't fucking trust them. And can you blame me? And Sam basically says, no, I don't fucking blame you. He says it to his sister later on. Like, how can I blame him for being upset? Like he has every reason to be upset. He has every reason to fucking hate the government and hate everything that Captain America stood for. Every single reason. So that's where I want to start with that one. But I don't know, Jenesy, do you have any scene in the show for you that stood out most for you?
That's really tough. There was so much, and I do have a kind of general comment, not so much about scenes, but about the format of the.
Devin, where'd you go?
I'm right here. Sorry.
It's okay.
Just lagged out a little bit.
It's okay. It's okay. Go ahead.
About the format, it's been a recent thing in like probably the last year or two where like Netflix and HBO and a lot of different streaming platforms are really converting to this kind of short series with like hour-long episodes. And God fucking bless whoever in whatever like back room production office was like, oh, this is it. This is what we're doing. Because I mean, that's the thing. And the fact that Marvel is now coming to this platform, I loved WandaVision, but honestly, it was too short for me.
Yeah.
The episodes were too short. 20 minutes with like 5 minutes of that is credits. Excuse you.
Yeah.
That's insulting. Whereas like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I mean, like you can always do more. That's why Marvel fans are Marvel fans, right? Like we're the bitches who will sit here for like 3.5 hours of Endgame and be like, "Where's our extended cut?" Like,
yeah. When's Endgame 2 coming out? I need that.
Right?
Where is she?
Yeah, like we can't get enough. It's like we're like, I'm a Marvel addict for sure. I'm always like we got 6 hours of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I'm like, I need more. But at the same time, I felt very satisfied. Like I finally felt like there was enough in it. Like I could always deal with more, but it felt full. Like it didn't feel like, other than the villains, it didn't feel like there was anything missing. As far as Bucky and Sam are concerned, they were so robust.
Yeah.
In how they came to everything. It was and even like Sharon.
Oh yeah, who would have thunk? Yeah. Right? Who would have thunk?
Power broker.
Yeah, dude, that reveal. I mean, let's be real. We all kind of thought that was going to be the case.
Oh,
but
totally.
when it's like confirmed, I was like, fuck. How did they still hit me with this?
The sad thing too is like how connected she was with Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
Throughout all the movies, and now she really kind of orchestrated a lot of that, and it's kind of sad to see that turn. Modern. I mean, it's sad in some aspect, if that makes any sense, because she was so helpful, but now I want to know if she's semi working with Lady Hydra.
I am coming from like the total opposite angle where I am like, this is the ultimate glow up for Sharon Carter. This is part of what's like put the cherry on top of the Marvel getting their balls for me, was the fact that they took the like niece of Peggy Carter. And we're like, oh no, she's fed up with the American government. She's fed up with the CIA. They kicked her on her ass because she was supporting Captain America. Then they took his bitch ass back. And so she's the power broker. Fuck y'all. Like, there's like a whole part of the internet that's like, the next wave of like feminism and queer acceptance is like putting us as like villains, like not just, you know, like it's a whole thing.
For sure.
But for me, that was it for Sharon. I was like, yes, we do deserve to be like a good villain. Like Sharon Carter is the sexy ass villain power broker that I want. That bitch deserves her own movie.
Yeah. I wanted to kind of loosely bring that up to you guys a little later on, but since we're here now, I want to talk about how interesting it is that the power broker and Carly Morgenthau in the comics are actually men. And so Morgenthau was actually Carl Morgenthau, who's supposed to be a really fucking old dude, and the power broker was an even older rich dude. And so like they like sort of morphing them into these two characters to sort of like balance things out, I could say, like give us like a level of representation there. What?
Do you think that maybe the power broker was an older dude that nobody knew who it was, and she took him out and took his mantle? Because I mean, she did the same thing already, like in episode 3.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like she had it planned too the whole time.
I have a theory about that. And
we like theories here. Go.
Conspiracy tinfoil
hat. Go. Yep. Here's the hat, the Kraken hat. There you go.
So my theory is that she did not disappear in the blip. She was there for the 5 years, right? The power broker, the previous power broker, disappeared in the blip. I don't know how she, like, maybe she was already in with him and maybe she was like planning to take over, or she was just like chilling out looking for something to do after the CIA kicked her out. But either way, she took over when the power broker was out, and then he came back, and I really do think she murdered him. I want that for her.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she was so, like, when she threw that, like, little toxic smoke grenade in the van with one of the super soldiers, that was, like, this show had balls because Marvel finally was like, yeah, we'll show death now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, with Walker, you know, decapitating somebody with, you know, Captain America's shield, and then just seeing a guy's face melt, you know, down to the bone.
Yeah, so dude. Yeah.
It almost felt like a callback to Indiana Jones in a way.
I mean,
if that makes any sense.
The show, generally speaking, for a lot of it had kind of like very Indiana Jonesy vibes, you know, where it's like the adventure stuff stuck out because it was so like overly adventurous. You know, like if we look back onto the train scene, I think in episode 2, where Falcon, Sam, and Bucky are fighting the Flag Smashers for the first time, that was very Indiana Jonesy. That was very adventure action movie, you know, sort of thing. And that was a really cool way to do it. But actually, I'm glad that you brought this up, Devin, because the other thing that I wanted to sort of bring up too, in bringing up Carly and the power broker, right? Sharon and this now, we can sort of see a like repeating trend between these villains, quote unquote, because we're not exactly sure how to leverage them, right? The sort of repeating trend between, you know, we look at Carly, we look at Sharon, we look at John Walker, we even look at Isaiah, you know, we look at these different characters in the show, Bucky, even, you know, all the characters, the main point characters in the show are people that were just casted aside by their governments in one way or another. And so all of them were sort of in this very similar boat where they all had to make a decision on whether or not, like, continuing to do the right thing or the good thing was going to be the right thing for them. You know, you see where Sharon finally decided, like, no, fuck that, you know? And she finally made the decision to say, like, no, like they didn't let me come back. They casted me out. So fuck them. I'm gonna make the best of what I have. You know, Carly, like, they casted out millions of people, and when we're not fucking happy about that. I want to do something about it. You see, Isaiah, I got casted out and tortured and beaten and imprisoned, and now I don't want anything to fucking do with them. As far as I'm concerned, they think I'm dead. And so it was a nice dynamic to see throughout the show, where that was sort of a consistent theme amongst them, and so many of these different characters had to make such drastically different decisions based on who they were. And it's cool to me because I like stuff that sort of sets people up to be sort of anti-villain or anti-hero, which is an interesting part of why I was bringing up the John Walker thing, Devin, is that in the comics, the US agent isn't a villain or a hero.
He's kind of like Deadpool.
He kind of just does whatever the fuck he gets paid to do or directed to do. And he even has and it's interesting, in the finale episode, there's a scene where he's trying to decide between going after Carly or saving the people that are on that bus that are or in the truck that are about to fall and die off the thing. And he has to make that hard decision. And then finally he decides to save the people that are in the truck. Right. And then immediately after, continues to be a good guy. But if we just look maybe 15 minutes prior, he's losing his fucking mind finding these super soldiers. I love that setup with him because it works with who US Agent is, who John Walker is, coming from the comics, being a character that is just doing what he feels is right, whether that direction be good or bad. Jenesy, you look like you're about to hop in.
I am. So John Walker, earlier you asked my grievance with the show. And I said that my main grievance I can't say because it's a spoiler.
Okay.
It is that fucking John Walker is still alive. And I knew he wasn't going to die. I wanted his ass to be murdered.
I mean, we're in the spoiler section, so you can say whatever.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can say it now. You can say it all you want now.
I've been waiting. So first of all, I love all of the memes about John Walker on the internet. God bless all of these people with too much time on their hands. I can barely join a Discord call, so I sure as hell can't make a meme. But I hella benefit off of after episode 5 in the post-credit scene where he's doing his arts and crafts little shield, and you have all of these memes of dead-ass children taking tape over their face and people with tape and glue and shit, and it's John Walker making his shield.
Yeah.
I was yes,
yeah,
that's him.
He's my god.
But I really appreciate his actor, because from day one, the second they showed John Walker's face, he was yeah, it's just an honor to be hated by the MCU.
Yeah.
And I was that's
bravo to him, dude. Yeah. Bravo to him. I know that he cut a lot of flack for being John Walker in the show, but it goes to show you though.
Yeah.
Someone had to do it,
He had a pretty decent story arc though, I will say.
I'm mad at the fact that they tried to give him a redemption arc at the end. They were leaning hard into him being a villain, and then they were oh no, he's gonna save these people on this bus. And I was no, throw him under the bus.
That's why I wanted to mention to you about the US agent being sort of not a hero or villain thing, because it's important to know that what he comes from in the comic books, because he's actually an Avenger for a little while, and then he becomes not an Avenger and is part of the Thunderbolts, and then he goes back to being an Avenger, and then he's just a free commission agent, and so he goes through a lot of different things where he doesn't really beef with any full group or anything. He's just doing what he thinks makes sense to him. Yeah. But Devin, you're gonna say something. Sorry.
I was just gonna say I didn't really know a lot about US Agent going into this, but especially after the last couple episodes, I did a lot of research, and it does kind of tie in with his origin story too. And it's a very similar. It's not anywhere close to a T, but just the whole him going insane because somebody died that he loved. His best friend got killed. In the comics, it's his family.
It's his family, his wife and kid.
Yeah. So they took that same aspect and they still developed it and rolled it out within the series, but in the sense of him just losing his best friend, who did everything with him.
Right.
And so
Well, I mean,
I appreciate that they did that.
that All-Star, I think, dies in the comics too, but it's in like a way
Mhm.
like later part of the story and stuff.
Mhm.
And so, but yeah, I mean, like I guess I also kind of hated like that they were trying to give him such a redemption arc at such a late point in the show, because I felt it was
Right.
very uncomfortable to see, like, after the past 5 episodes of John and Sam and Bucky beefing with each other, that now all of nowhere Bucky and him were like fucking homies, like walking around
Yeah.
together and like,
Let's
you
get
know,
out of here.
shooting the shit, like, hey, want to grab beer
Yeah.
sometime, you know? And then they go to the bar and they
Is it?
sorry, I had to make an excuse to open my
yeah.
next one.
I how about Bucky, you know, at the end of the series? Tell me you didn't
Okay.
shed a tear. I don't think there's anything more that makes me sad than seeing an older parent lose their child and then knowing what happened.
Yeah, there's actually a like a Polynesian like saying, I guess you could say, for lack of better terms, that it in loose translation it says that there's nothing worse than a parent dying after their child does. And there was something about that, even though the scene is what, maybe 40 seconds long, between Bucky walking, like, knocking on the door, and he's like, hey, come on in before someone calls the cops, and he like tells him, you know, your son was murdered by the Winter Soldier, and that was me. Like that, just 40 fucking seconds
And
of that hit so deep.
and the at the end of that interaction, that I had no choice. And he didn't even get to elaborate on why he had no choice. So now he just thinks that he murdered his son, like, knowingly, you know?
I do kind of like that though, because I feel like with those types of like confrontations, there's a tendency to like push it towards one party or another, right? So to either vilify Bucky and the father be like, what do you mean? You know, ask a bunch of questions, or Bucky's character to like overcompensate and like make excuses or try to explain and stuff. And there wasn't that. And I thought that was really beautiful, that it was a very like, you could tell that the dad was just so upset and he didn't want to ask. And also like there was this element of like almost like a rom-com trope of him like inserting himself into this man's life when he knows who he is. I was worried for that to go south. I was like, I can't handle in the last 10 minutes for us to like unravel this thing that like destroys every rom-com in the history of rom-coms. You know, it's like, oh, I've been stalking you this whole time, actually.
Yeah, because he had continuous nightmares of killing his son, which it's I just love the I just love the focus on mental health in the MCU lately, because it's so important.
It is.
It is so, yeah.
Yeah, like me and Jenesy dove into this during our WandaVision. It's like, you know, them being willing to talk about grieving and talking about the grieving process, and the talking about compartmentalizing pain and loss and sadness and anger is like, you know, something that they're doing a really good job on. And that sort of reflects into what I was saying about this earlier. It's like every main character of the show has come across some kind of situation where they had to make a hard decision. They had to make a really, really fucking hard decision. And each one of them made decisions that took them into, you know, different branches, different directions and such. But overall, they had to make that decision because they got fucked. They got fucked in one way or another, and they got screwed. Oh no. What's Amos doing?
He was sleeping and he just woke himself up in his dream, barking to himself in his dream.
Oh, Amos. Oh,
sorry,
tired boy.
I thought he was barking at the window, and then I looked back. I'm like, oh no, he just woke himself up.
He's like, oh fuck.
Sorry, guys.
No, it's okay. That's okay. Yeah, it's just it for me. Like that's the part that I also love about this about the MCU content recently too, because it's like they're, like we mentioned a few times, like they're starting to finally get the go now to talk about some shit that they kind of just only like briefly touched on in every other prior MCU movie that we've seen before this, and it makes me excited to think about what they could possibly do going forward to talk about more shit that we've been begging for them to fucking talk about. Like what could the multiverse of madness thematically be about? What could Loki thematically be about? Like there's a lot of stuff they can do going forward.
Multiverse of Madness to me is going to be setting the stage for not only the possible Spider-Verse in the next Spider-Man movie,
right,
but the Young Avengers. I think that is the whole point of everything right now.
Of course. But what about the themes though? Like, what are they going to talk about in Multiverse of Madness? What are they going to talk about in Loki?
Grief and loss. That is the theme of Scarlet Witch, and I feel like she is going to be desperately looking for her children that she created into reality, and
she's
Doctor
gonna
Strange,
be pissed.
And Doctor Strange is going to be chasing her around, trying to help her, but also make her come to a realization that what she is doing is destructive to their reality, because his whole thing is protecting reality. And she's going to be disturbing it.
Jenesy, you're gonna jump in. Go ahead.
I think that's a good hypothesis. I am curious because I think, doesn't the Spider-Man movie come out before the multiverse?
No Way Home?
Coming out this December?
No.
Spider-Man comes out December, and Multiverse of Madness is in October.
Yeah, so Multiverse of Madness is actually like done. Like they finished it. But Spider-Man No Way Home is currently in post-production. So like they're getting things ready. They're almost there. Personally, words. I personally think that they're gonna actually delay Spider-Man No Way Home. I think that they're probably gonna need like another month before they like
February.
put it out or something. Yeah. I can see them putting it back, which is totally fine. I'd rather it be perfect and good and awesome than them give it to us a couple months early, especially when we have a good amount of Marvel content this year between Loki, Black Widow, like a lot of different stuff that they're doing this year alone. Shang-Chi is gonna be fucking dope. So
if I remember right, I'm doing this off the top of my head. I'm not looking at anything.
Okay.
We have What If, which is next on May the 4th.
But I want to confirm. We gotta look this.
Yeah. So we have What If, and then in June we have Loki. In July we have Black Widow. September is Shang-Chi. October is Doctor Strange. I'm guessing November is going to be when Miss Marvel comes out, because they said at the end of 2021, if it doesn't get delayed, I'm guessing November. And right now, Spider-Man is slated for December. So for every month, we have a major MCU thing besides What If. What If is going to be, Conspiracy Steve tinfoil hat.
Of course.
But we actually have all of that for the rest of the year. Am I right on all this?
So you got most of it right. So Loki is June 11th. 2 days after my birthday. Let's fucking go. Black Widow is July 9th. And then What If is only dated for summer of this year. You haven't put an official release date yet.
I want to say they released that it was coming out. Oh no, May the 4th is I was wrong on that. That is the Bad Batch.
Yes. Another good piece of content, for sure. But then Shang-Chi is September 3rd. They also have Venom, the next Venom movie, listed for September 17th.
Really?
Yep.
They haven't even come out with a trailer for that yet.
I'm sure there will be soon. Dated for September 17th, and then The Eternals is November 5th.
That's November.
Yeah, okay. November 5th, and then Spider-Man No Way Home is December 17th. And then Hawkeye is it is dated for just late 2021. And Miss Marvel is dated for late 2021. And then Morbius is going to be the first thing of next year.
Oh yeah, and that's Sony though, right? That's Sony.
Yeah, but
isn't Morbius in the is he
he's a part of
related
the
to
Spider-Man universe. Yeah, he's part
that's
of the
what I was
Spider-Man
thinking.
universe. Yep. And then Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is ready for March 25th, 2022.
So that's March 25th.
So I guess No Way Home is coming before Genesy just squared us off, dude.
Yeah.
Genesy just whooped our asses. Yeah, I guess I like I got confused there myself.
Yeah, because it was supposed to come out this May. And they delayed it
right.
almost a whole year. So
that's where we got mixed up. That's right.
Okay.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. Good
well,
clarification.
That's the end of the show. Let's go.
I do have some things I want to talk about here real quick.
I'm joking. I was just going to be petty. Go ahead.
Mandrapore. Is super important, actually. It is actually a city that is visited by the X-Men a lot. And it is a well-known place where Wolverine hangs out at a lot. There's a lot of talk around the X-Men being introduced, especially after, WandaVision, with Quicksilver. And, I felt like it got done dirty a little bit in that show, but still.
Well, we don't like I mentioned before too, like we don't actually have a definitive answer if that was maybe just some kind of like trolling move from Agatha. We don't know. There's a lot of different things that could have happened there.
They haven't committed yet.
Yeah, they haven't committed to it yet. They haven't committed to that, which is fine. Like Marvel has had a way of tying up some loose ends down the line when they come up. But I think my favorite little like sort of Easter egg thing that they've done here is setting up the Thunderbolts, which I know I mentioned to Devin before, but Genesy, have you like done any reading on who the Thunderbolts are?
No.
So the Thunderbolts are basically Marvel's equivalent of the Suicide Squad.
Oh.
Yeah. Ross, the Secretary of Defense, Ross, the guy who was also going after Hulk in the very first like Hulk movie of the MCU. He is nicknamed Thunderbolt Ross because he creates a team of anti-villains to put them in a position where they are actually doing things for the government. And the US agent eventually becomes a part of the Thunderbolts at a point or another. But the cool part, and Devin will attest to this too, is that the leader of the Thunderbolts, the first group, is Helmut Zemo, who is trained by Deathstroke.
And they also have...
Sorry, not Deathstroke. Taskmaster.
Yeah, I was gonna say Deathstroke is DC.
Wrong universe. I'm fucking up left and right tonight. Taskmaster trained Zemo for the Thunderbolts, and they both sort of like double head taking on the Thunderbolts, and so they all come from the Raft. So Thunderbolt Ross makes their team based off prisoners that are inside of the Raft, and he runs the Raft. And so when the Wakandans are saying, yeah, we're gonna take Zemo over to the Raft, I was like, oh, they're doing it. They're kind of doing it. They're doing it. And so when it got to that scene at the final episode, which showed Zemo after his butler bombed the truck that the super soldiers were in, the Flag Smashers were in there, his butler blew them up, and then he was listening on the radio in his cell at the end of the episode, and he just lays down and kicks back or whatever. I thought they were for a second gonna zoom out and show like Abomination from like the Incredible Hulk movie, and he was gonna be like in the cell next to him, and then the right side was gonna be Taskmaster or something. I was gonna lose my fucking shit, but they didn't do it yet. But
adding on to the Thunderbolts, they just confirmed not too long ago that Deadpool is now going to be MCU. He also joins the Thunderbolts.
Yes, he does. I mean, he joins a lot of things. But
I mean, he's in everything.
Yeah.
But I was just looking into Secret Avengers as well. I just want to go down this list with you guys, especially since Moon Knight has been in the conversation for the MCU for quite a while.
They cast him. They're getting ready to start filming pretty soon. Did you hear who's playing Moon Knight, Genesee?
No. Who is it?
Devin, do you know his name off the top of my head? Damn it! It's what's his fucking name? No.
It's he's in Star Wars. Why am I forgetting?
God damn it!
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac. There we go. Yeah, Oscar Isaac. Thank you, Devin. Oscar
Yeah, so-
Isaac got casted to play as
As Moon,
Mark
yeah.
Moon. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am. So I've seen some clips of him doing
Yeah.
his like sword fighting training for his part as Moon Knight, and it is hype. It is hype.
Yeah.
He's got a beautiful
Oh.
beard. He's got a beautiful beard now. His hair's looking kind of gray. I'm so stoked, dude. He's
Let
the
me go
beautiful
down
ass
this
man.
list.
Okay,
Let me
okay.
go down this
okay.
list real
What do you got?
quick.
What do you got?
Secret Avengers.
Yep.
Steve Rogers, which they also kept doing a callback talking about how he's on the moon in Falcon and Winter Soldier. I don't know if you guys caught that.
Well, yeah, they mentioned it like 3 or 4 times in the show.
And at the very end, there was that agent that went, "Isn't Cap on the moon?" Right
Yeah,
when right when Sam
Yeah.
said he's Captain America.
Mhm.
So, anyways, Steve Rogers, Hawkeye, Beast, Madripoor, who knows, X-Men, Moon Knight, Valkyrie, Sharon Carter, Black Widow, Ant-Man, Captain Britain, Giant Man, the Human Torch, Venom, and War Machine.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
think about the deals that Sony's been making with Marvel lately.
And the announcements that Marvel has made.
Yeah. I bet you
No.
they're going to try and get Venom into the MCU.
Mm.
And he's also in San Francisco. Guess what's also in San Francisco?
Falcon and the Winter Soldier. No.
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi's in San Francisco.
Oh.
Yeah, Shang-Chi's in San Francisco. But to kind of take it back, because we definitely derailed the fuck out of this conversation here for the past like 20 minutes. It's okay. It's okay. No, it's okay. When we start talking like that, that's the beauty of being a Marvel fan, is we can have discussions like this where we can just go all out and just talk about all the things that we hope that they will do, you know, like that. Like, I love that about being a Marvel fan. I love that. But to bring it back to Falcon the Winter Soldier, can we, sorry, I burped. Oh god. Oh, gross. Can we talk about like the funniest part of the entire show? Okay, when Sam is dropping off Carly's body after she dies, and
talking about his angelic moment.
Yeah, his little angel moment where he floats down with Carly's body and sets her down, and then his wings detract, and he's walking up to the senator, and the reporters are like asking him questions, and one of them says, "So, do you still go by Falcon, or are you Captain Falcon now?"
I love that. That's the funniest thing to me. That's amazing.
I fucking loved it so much. I was like, holy shit, they're totally doing that on purpose. They totally did that on purpose. What was your guys' favorite funny parts of this show? Jenesy, you go.
Oh, I'm not ready yet.
Devin, you go.
Come back to me.
Funniest parts of the show, man. I didn't even like, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't find a whole lot of humor except for with Zemo. Because Zemo, like, especially when he went up to, like, you know, the flag smashers, when he went up to all the little kids and the children.
Yeah.
Like, those guys are the bad guys. Don't trust them.
or when Zemo's trying to like explain to them like how they're like why the super serum is like fucked up or whatever, and Sam's like, he's out of line, but he's right. It was fucking great. Jenesy, what's yours?
Zemo and Sam interacting was too funny. Honestly, like, Marvel had no business making Zemo so fucking creepy, but also so fucking funny. Like, he did slap, and I was kind of upset about it. I've always found Sam to be so funny. I feel like he always brought the comedy in Cap's movies. He really did. And I was really interested to see coming into this how his like humor dynamic would change without having the really like steady stoicness of Steve to kind of level him out. But Bucky brought that, but also brought some sass. So it was like, that was heightened for me. I loved that. I loved it when, I don't know if this is really funny, but like the whole dynamic that Sam and Bucky had going on of like throughout the show being like, we're not friends, we're not partners, we don't work together, was just very homoerotic. And then at the end, they were like, we're co-workers. So I was like, oh my god.
I actually, I thought about it more, and I think one of the funniest parts is when Bucky was like, hypothetically, what if Zemo was to do this, this, and this, and this, to make this happen, and then he did this, and then this, and then now he's right here.
The whole time Sam was like, as soon as he said hypothetically, he's like, oh no.
I actually like that part a lot.
I also really love too when Bucky first meets Sam's sister and they immediately have chemistry. And Sam can, like, you see Sam's face like right when they first started, he's like, oh, like, and then at the very end of that scene he's like, don't hit on my sister, and like as he's walking away, like, it's so fucking funny, so damn funny.
When Sam was like trying to pry up that like rail on the boat, and he was just working at it for like a good solid like 10 seconds, and then Bucky's just like I like that dynamic, how they kept showing how strong Bucky was compared to Sam, and then like you just see Sam like look at him with like spiteful like jealousy.
I feel like they had a lot of kind of physical humor going on with Bucky and his arm, especially when he's like using his right arm, and Sam's like, why didn't you use your like strong arm? He's like, I'm right-handed, I forget about it.
That was so great.
What a humanizing moment.
That was so great. I love it. Yeah, and I know like me and Jenesy talked about this a little bit during our Wanda review as well too, but like the way that they buddy copped the fuck out of the show for the first half of the show. Mm-hmm. And then sort of slowly navigated it from what they were, like the bigger picture, what they were going for. Mm-hmm. The buddy cop setup with Sam and Bucky made it for me. That's what sold me in the first few episodes of the show, because I was like, their chemistry together as two like buddy cops, questionably other things, is amazing. Amazing how they did that.
Super out there, but that whole relationship kind of reminded me of the other guys a little bit with Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell.
Agreed.
The buddy cop thing.
Have you seen that movie, Jenesy?
I have not, no.
You should. I don't know if you're a Will Ferrell fan, but
I don't like Will Ferrell.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
It's pretty funny. There's a lot of good. Michael Keaton's in it. So
he's fucking hilarious.
The Rock is in it.
Mm-hmm. Mark okay, but the Rock. Okay, anyways, Mark Wahlberg is also in it. Mark Wahlberg's also in it. Yeah. If it helps any, Mark Wahlberg sort of makes up for like Will Ferrell, like being Will Ferrell, because I also am very, very impartial when it comes to Will Ferrell myself. So it's
but it's a good Will Ferrell though in that movie.
It is, because he's not his overbearing version of himself, and every time that he is, there's Mark Wahlberg there to sort of like double up on it. But anyways, not to derail again. The buddy cop dynamic that they have in the show is what sold it for me right away, because they sort of like backed it up with the humor and with the comedy that they are so good at doing in the MCU. And so like that had me hooked from the get-go. But the way that they sort of just like lightly planted it on all of the episodes, scattered throughout in like different points, just gave it this ebb and flow that I like did not think that this show was going to have. I really did not.
Yeah. I think it's incredible because so what speaks to that for me is like, I love looking at behind the scenes shit, and I love watching their interviews and stuff because they talk about things in filming that I find really interesting and enlightening to their process. But I love watching interviews specifically with the actors of Sam and Bucky, and also of course whenever Tom Holland comes in, because Sam's actor and Tom Holland have like this like kind of beef thing that like Tom Holland didn't know about, and so like he started talking shit and Tom Holland was just there like, all right, cool. They're just all so cute and funny, but like they have excellent chemistry off scene, Sam and Bucky's characters. And I feel like that really translated into the show, because I totally bought into the kind of animosity between them, but at the same time there was this underlying like chemistry that you could just feel watching it, that was like, nah, they're friends, they're gonna be straight up partners, they're gonna be ride or die, like this is gonna be it.
Well, and it's funny. Sorry, I hate to interrupt, but the one thing I wanted to mention too before you get to the end of that thought is just like the way that that Sam sort of just took up more than just the shield of Captain America. He
Mhm.
took on not just the role, but also the friend of Bucky that Bucky needed now that Steve is gone. And so it's like imagine like, how much easier it would have been for Bucky to get past everything that he needed to get past if he had Steve there still. But Steve's not there. And now he has Sam and he has to deal with this with Sam. And now Sam isn't just, like taking on the role of Captain America. Sam is now a friend of Bucky and now he's a part of a greater community and now he's standing up for the ideals that Captain America stood up for. I thought it was very interesting that even down to the very end, Sam displaying what it means to be Captain America by going up to Carly and saying, I'm not going to fight you. Because that's not what
Yeah.
this is about. Like Sam displaying throughout the show every
Yeah.
detail of what it takes to be Captain America, and he fucking did it. Go ahead, Jenesy, so you can
Yeah.
finish. Sorry.
There are so many. Well, no, now I have so many new thoughts. So first of all of the like kind of like nods that they did, like there were like basically like same moments that Steve had as Captain America and Bucky, like that scene where Steve is fighting Iron Man and he says, I'm not going
Yeah.
to fight you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
Yeah.
fight you.
Yep.
And then you see Sam. I mean, obviously they did that on purpose. They wanted us to be able to draw that like he was the right choice, but he was, and he really does embody that. And he's embodied that the whole time. He's really just stepping up to it. And then also in terms of like his relationship and taking over the friend role for Steve, in many ways, I think that Sam is able to be a friend to Bucky in ways that Steve couldn't, because Steve, I think, really struggled being in the 21st century period. He was always kind of like this boomer stuck in, and not even boomer,
Yeah.
pre-boomer,
Pre-boomer,
whatever.
yeah.
Stuck with fucking Scarlett Johansson, like trying to like hit on him every 5 seconds, just not knowing what to do. Whereas you have Bucky, who feels very modern because he did get to live through all of those decades. And now he's going through therapy in what year is it? Like 2023, 2024, something like that. And he's really trying to integrate with the current world. Whereas Steve never really did. Like you saw him watching the movies and shit, but he never integrated, and he went back. We saw that.
Yeah.
Like he went back and lived his life with Peggy. So I feel like Sam and Bucky really complement each other because they both want to be here and they're both making their lives here. And I feel like they both really have similar struggles. I mean, obviously from different perspectives, whereas Sam is influenced more from his experience as a Black man, and Bucky's is influenced from his position of
being a million years old.
brainwashed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And-
That too.
and being controlled
Mhm.
and made to kill people. I mean, that's like a type of trauma that is just unimaginable. And I think that they're able to connect on that. Like, not to say that Steve didn't have trauma and problems, because boy, he did, but I think that they're able to connect in a much deeper way, which you see in episode 5, which is why it has to be my favorite, because that that episode just brought so much connection to the table, and it really brought together the struggles that they were having, each of them, to like come together, and they were able to help each other through that in just a very simple and pure way, while they're throwing around the shield.
Yeah, they were
and
basically playing catch with it. I love that, dude. Devin, go ahead.
to add on that, I think the big connection that really kind of strengthened them and made them like really understand each other is the fact that Sam does so much mediation for veterans and therapy for veterans.
Yes.
He's been a veteran counselor, and that's like his big background after leaving the Air Force originally. And so he was able to help Bucky with a lot of his trauma in talking about it from that same perspective. The other thing I wanted to say is at the end of the finale, you hear Bucky call him Cap as well, which was really nice. It's just nice,
incredible.
Yeah. Well, and I think pretty sure most everybody starts calling him Cap. It's like like the second that he finally committed to the role, everyone was like, all right, that's it. That's our Captain America now. Like even Sharon, I'm pretty sure she calls him Cap too, if I remember correctly. Like it's incredible. Can we talk about how fucking rad his suit was?
Oh,
Yes.
Holy shit, that new suit, guys.
Okay.
Vibranium wings. Vibranium.
Yes.
Mhm, mhm.
I have
Yeah.
been wanting those. I've been talking about this like actively for a cool last minute, like predating the show, because it's
Mhm.
like, first of all, why doesn't everybody have vibranium toys? You know?
Because it's a very rare precious metal, and the Wakandans are the only ones that really have access to it.
That is true. That is true. But now that Black Panther is an Avenger, like you'd think he'd be the hookup, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I mean, I'm
I
sure
mean,
that
not like everybody and their mother, but like
right,
come on,
right. But the
Wilson?
Avengers,
Isn't that
right,
the
right.
Avengers.
Wasn't that like part of Black Panther, how they were going around and trying to reclaim vibranium for their country? You know, when they went to that.
Well,
I
no,
don't
no.
think
So what they ended up doing by the end of Black Panther was saying that like we have the resources to be able to give some of this technology to the greater good of the world, and so like that's kind of what they were doing. End of it, but I can see the argument of them being like, we have to drip feed this. We can't just be having it out everywhere.
Yes.
Now, as far as the argument with the Avengers, though, if we look at like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, okay, and the timeline of things, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I believe, I might be wrong about this, but I believe is only like a month after Spider-Man Far From Home, and Spider-Man Far From Home is only 6 months after the blip.
So I believe it's different. So it goes Blip, WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then Spider-Man, I believe.
Oh,
Really?
you think they're sort of like
WandaVision was I want
Right
to say
after.
1 or 2 months. It was like 1 or 2 months right after
I can
Endgame.
look up this timeline.
Do it. Yeah, because if so, that's a very interesting like thing too, because I think like there's a chance that they were like sort of intending to hook the rest of the Avengers up, but it just sort of like hasn't come to be because things have been so fucking wild lately since the blip. Go ahead.
Guys, I'm so on my shit. Okay.
Oh,
WandaVision, 3 weeks after the blip. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, a few months after the blip.
Okay.
Spider-Man Far From Home, 8 months.
Okay. So that now here's my deal. I'm on it too because that only supports my point. it's at that I think that just like at that point in the story of like the ultimate timeline of the MCU, like they're probably still getting things fixed in Wakanda after the blip happened.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like, you know, they like the entire world has a lot of shit to have to deal with once everybody comes back, and that's why everything's in such a chaotic fucking mess, you know? So it's like I'm sure the Wakandans were contemplating on it, but now that Sam has this dope ass Captain Falcon suit,
amazing.
The helicopter deflection.
Oh, dude, when he throws the shield and spikes through the windshield. Holy shit. My favorite one was when he's blocking that punch from Carly and he uses the wings to dig into the ground so he won't move. That was so fucking cool, guys.
The way that his suit works totally makes him super powered too, just like with like his quick reaction with his thrusters and everything. And he doesn't only have 1 red wing, he has 2 red wings now.
I know.
And mind you, the potential for a new red wing, the potential next Falcon, because Sam leaves his wings with Homeboy.
Yeah, what's his name?
And oh god, we're just doing all sorts of fact
the
checks.
second I saw him, I was like, we're not seeing the last of you.
Right.
He was like Sam's friend, and he looked up to Sam and everything.
Oh, dude,
and Sam was super worried about him when he got
anyone who does the man in the chair thing is gonna come back. They're gonna come back, you know, like all the time. Yeah. And I wouldn't have it any other way. With that said, do you guys have any sort of like final thoughts or anything that you wanted to bring down on the table before we come to the end of the show here? Or
really, I just can't wait to see God, what was it? I can't wait to see Elijah Bradley be introduced as Patriot, because they set that up right there at the end.
Yeah, Isaiah's grandson. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. And I mean, the show is great. If anybody's remotely an MCU fan, they need to watch it. It's very powerful. I love how that they brought to light, you know, how Black history is washed, and those stories need to be talked about. I mean, they didn't dive into anything in reality, but they showed that like that is what happens, and how there was the very first Captain America was Black. You know, I think that whole overarching story and just the whole statement that it made in itself is actually really powerful. So,
Jenesy?
I agree. The show's phenomenal. If you haven't watched it already, absolutely watch it. I think that there was some hesitancy amongst Marvel fans to watch WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier because they're a different format. They're incredible. I mean, Marvel owned this format. It dominated it. And so there's that. I also think that kind of last thoughts is we've talked a lot about different things that they did that were monumental in terms of talking about what it means to be a Black person in America and what it means to be a Black superhero and taking up the mantle of a superhero that has been white and it was wanted to be white and what that means. And then, of course, the PTSD, trauma, grief aspect of Bucky's character were all done very beautifully. I also think that something unique and new that they did in this movie was they talked about the United States involvement in the Middle East in a negative light.
Yeah, they did do that. They did do that. You are right.
Which doesn't happen.
Ever in media, ever.
Ever in media, ever in Marvel. And I've been meaning to look into, because I heard that there was a bigger discussion from the U.S. military about being able to use certain U.S. military things, because apparently the U.S. military has like agreements with different movie studios to be able to use their tanks and stuff as props. And for that, they cannot talk negatively about U.S. military involvement, which not surprising. Checks out, makes sense. But I think it's very interesting, and I want to see how that played out with Marvel specifically in this. And I hope that continues in the future, because Marvel has over time been taking a more progressive stance on issues like this. And they have been very anti-police state, anti-military state in a lot of different ways. I mean, we saw that in Civil War was a huge conversation. And now I feel like they're really bringing in more voices and more perspectives and a more dynamic approach to that and what that means. The fact that the big conversation in this show was, why the fuck do we have borders? I was like, wow, shit, this is something that like my friends and I talk about over beers, and I never thought that would be talked about in a TV show or a movie like this, you know?
To add on to what you were just explaining is when he told the senator that the senator needs to do better, like that could not be more relevant than what we deal with on a day-to-day basis right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, like when he says like, you know, like you have the power to fix poverty in a phone call, like you can feed 1 million people, you know, like in a second, like him just going down the line of just completely putting them in a spot where they need to understand, like, there's a reason that people are doing the things that they're doing right now after this life-changing event that was the blip. You know, it's conversations like that happening in this format of media is amazing, you know. And so I guess my final thoughts on this is like, yeah, they did a fucking phenomenal job on this show. A fucking phenomenal job on the show, because they talk about a good handful of different things that are just so damn pivotal to the conversation of today's world right now. You know, like when we look at like the interview, quote unquote, that Sam is having with the senator and the GDC people, like he's talking to us. He was saying those things to us to say to our government, you know, like he was speaking through the camera vicariously to us. So it's like, you know, them portraying these sort of like things that happen in this show as sort of a way for us to find that connection in our own lives and find that place inside of what we just saw on the show. Amazing. I couldn't recommend this enough to anybody, you know, especially people of color, especially people, you know, just like feeling that after, you know, what's happened in this pandemic, that they haven't been taken care of. You know, like just people in the past 8 years who have felt like they haven't been taken care of. You know, there is so much here for you. There's so much here for you. Just make sure you watch the last 16 fucking movies before you, you watch it.
Watch WandaVision, please.
Yes,
WandaVision
and watch
as well.
WandaVision for sure.
Yeah.
So again,
Absolutely.
thank you, Jenesy, for coming in and hanging out with us. I am super stoked to have you back once Black Widow.
Oh yeah,
Drops?
literally next thing that comes out, I'm texting you.
Yeah, I know. Black Widow, Loki comes out before then too. We got to talk about Loki. You know, once it hits. I don't remember what it said, how many episodes Loki's supposed to be. I don't know if there's information on that yet. Devin will let us know here after the show is done. But listeners at home, thank you for joining us tonight. We hope to see you guys again soon for our Loki conversations and stuff. Like we mentioned before, right after this tonight at 7:00, so about an hour and a half, we are doing another Resident Evil 7 stream. So if you want to be a part of that, come on back and we will hang out. Until then, Jenesy, thank you for coming in to hang out. And yeah, until next time, Devin, what do you got? Give him a line. Shit.
Fart. That's what I got.
That's not Black Falcon. That's Captain America. Let's fucking go.